Good morning, and welcome to the Fucked Up Guides Fucked Up podcast, where we tackle a series of real life topics with humor, honesty, a sprinkle of fucks, and a shit ton of metaphors. I'm your host, and today we're unpacking part two and wrapping up respect in relationships. This one we like to call disrespect or the War of the Roses. And as much as I say a sprinkle of fucks, a shit ton of metaphors and humor, this one is one that goes out to those who are struggling in their relationships right now. And I think there are many out there. So, with that, we're going to unpack yet another perspective with regards to relationships and see where this takes us. But as always, I need to remind you all, I got to do this, all the fucking disclosures. Before we dive into today's topic, I'm going to advise you that we are not medical professionals by any stretch of the fucking imagination. If you feel that you need medical or professional attention, please seek a medical professional. We have learned and continue to learn our lessons from the school of life. And we're here to articulate the things we've learned in this life, which means the good, the bad, the ugly, and the indifferent. We're here to entertain, motivate, and get you to think a little. And now that we've got all of that shit out of the way, we can now dive in. So we're delving into something that's really crucial, and it's a really, I want to say it's an uncomfortable topic, right? When respect takes a wrong turn in relationships. We often talk about respect as the cornerstone, right? In yesterday's podcast, we talked about the cornerstone of a relationship and the two pillars, which is respect and love. But what happens when that foundation cracks? When the frustration increases, you have those moments and you've gotten to the point where either one of you is questioning whether or not to stay or throw in the towel. Well, today we're going to explore, and we're only going to touch upon the surface because let's be real with each other. No, I will tell you right now, I can't do this topic justice because we will spend easily 4 weeks with each other. And I try to record twice a week. So this is a topic that can go on and on and on, but to give you kind of explore where sometimes we as individuals and as partners go wrong, we need to explore our shadows. We're going to touch upon trauma, hurt people, and how to navigate through those murky waters in relationships, along with, the profound impact that this can have. So to recap last week podcast, we talked about respect within relationships. We talked about how you've got these pillars, and these are the cornerstones of these are the cornerstones, if you will, of these relationships. Give me a quick second as I'm hydrating. Feels good. Feels real good. Anyway, I digress. Here we go. Foundational respect creates a nurturing environment where both individuals feel heard, validated, and supported, laying the groundwork for a healthy and harmonious relationship. Always remember, the foundation of all relationship is respect. Respect lays the foundation. Love is the continual action of nurturing the relationship, fostering further intimacy, and creating a much more healthy, balanced, and harmonious relationship. Autonomy comes in as well because it plays a crucial role in respect within a couple. It's allowing each person the freedom to be themselves, to pursue their own interests and grow individually while still nurturing the relationship. So you see how you have this parallel path running. You've got these two pillars. You've got respect, you've got love, and you have individual growth and relationship nurture. And as I talk about all the fucking time, communication forms the backbone of respect in a relationship. So, I want to dive into something murky. I want to dive into this head first, and we're going to dive into shadows. We hear this a lot in spirituality, the shadow work, shadows. In psychology, you hear this a lot. So, we're going to define what shadows are. And in psychology, the shadow refers to unconscious aspects of an individual's personality that are often repressed, denied, or disowned. In relationships, shadows represent the hidden, the darker aspects of ourselves that we may not always want to confront head on, or you think that you've confronted it, but there's always an intersection that you may have missed. And they come out in those times when we are most triggered. And if you are in any kind of partnership, whether it's work, family, community, romantic, you're going to get triggered. It's just as is. We're all individuals. And we all have individual triggers and individual traumas and individual things that perhaps we think were resolved and may not have been resolved, or we've never resolved them at all. And again, going to reiterate what I said, these shadows can stem from past wounds, insecurities, or unresolved emotions. When these shadows rear their ugly fucking head, they more than likely will manifest in behaviors that not only erode respect, but it starts to chip away at it. And these behaviors can be defensiveness, passive aggressiveness, or manipulation. And I want to express here, and I want to stop here because I want to express this. If you're listening to this out there, I want you to know that there is no right or wrong here. This just is. There are no judgments if we're talking about something that resonates with you. This is where introspection and acceptance needs to come in. And I always repeat the introspection questions for all of us every episode, because as someone who, hi, people pleaser in recovery, right? I'm learning this as we're going. I'm living this. We're all in this journey together. And what are our introspection questions? What am I comfortable with? What am I not comfortable with? What will I tolerate? What I won't tolerate? How much energy and effort do I want to give to others? And how much energy and effort do I need for myself? This is where it comes in these moments where you are faced with the uncomfortable notion of being triggered, or the uncomfortable notion where there's tension in your life. Now, going back to romantic relationships, another factor is trauma. Trauma is another weighty factor that can profoundly impact how respect plays out in relationships. And trauma, whether from past relationships, from childhood, or just the fucking fuckeries of life, that can deeply influence our behavior and our emotional responses. It can lead to triggers, emotional scars, and challenges in trusting and even feeling safe within a relationship. The effects of trauma can inadvertently cause disruptions in how respect is expressed and received between partners. And, going back to the self, right? The you project, You also need to look at your shadows, because how are you talking to yourself? How are you treating yourself? And are you respecting yourself? You've set up those boundaries. You're upholding those boundaries. You're practicing that mutual respect because you're respecting someone else and they're respecting you. But how are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing to be present with for yourself every day? Because really, that's what stems to. It stems to yourself, because you might find yourself with your guard up, reacting. And fuck, those reactions can be downright fucked up and nasty. And then it goes into that vicious cycle of now you're feeling guilty because you said something that you were going to regret, that you regretted. So now dive deep into the next concept, which is hurt people hurting other people. When when individuals such as myself, you, everyone out here, and I put this for everyone, when individuals carry unhealed pain, whether from past heartbreaks or a personal struggle, it's not that it can, it will spill over into your current relationships. This is where behavior comes in, such as lashing out, withdrawing emotionally, or even engaging in destructive communication patterns. Those communication patterns of ignoring, shutting down, lashing out, and again, starting the vicious cycle of reacting, feeling guilty about the reaction, having to apologize, further making yourself feel like shit. So you're at this point now disrespecting yourself. And to reiterate this, when respect is compromised due to hurtful actions, that creates that vicious cycle, the toxic cycle of conflict, emotional turmoil within relationships. So the big question becomes is, how do you navigate through those treacherous relationship terrains? First and foremost, self-awareness. Self-awareness is vital for individuals to confront their own shadows, recognize their own trauma responses, and acknowledge areas where they may unintentionally be causing harm in their relationship. This level of self-awareness is going to set the stage for personal healing, self-healing, and personal growth. Again, as I've mentioned in previous episodes, as you pour more into yourself, you're able to pour more back, and others will pour back in. And that's the sort of the cycle you want to adhere, but it's always coming back to yourself. And keeping in mind, because this is the You Project, remember, it's not our jobs to monitor or anticipate someone else's mood or emotion. They don't have to either. So you need to learn how to regulate yourself, just like you're expecting your partner to trust and know that they can regulate themselves. It's a two-way street. And this goes back to mutual respect and boundaries. And you see how all of this is fucking working? You see how it all works out because you're taking care of yourself, therefore you're building that foundation, you're upholding your boundaries, you're practicing the self-respect, you're practicing the self-love, you're able to pour into that. They're pouring it back. And you're learning to self-regulate, you're learning to take emotion out of the equation. The next is, and I'm going to repeat and I'm constantly fucking repeating this, effective communication, which also plays a pivotal role in addressing these issues. This is where the You Project becomes the We Project. Open, honest, compassionate communication allows partners to express their feelings, their concerns, and boundaries in a way that fosters respect and understanding. Creating a safe space of vulnerable dialogue and active listening is essential, where both partners feel seen, heard, and validated. Key word here, safe space. It is our jobs to ensure a safe space for our partners as they need to do for us as well. This is where, and it's funny because it's in the moments of tension where you need to practice the most empathy. And in the corporate, in my past life in the corporate world, when we were in moments of tension, the mantra for us leaders would be to come in, or managers to come in and always say to yourself, I need to be the calmest person in the room. Because as you're being the calmest person in the room, you're able to think clearly. You're able to be more empathetic, more sympathetic, and being able to come up with a solution. And like the same thing goes for romantic relationships. Being the calmest person in the room, setting that example. And all while being self-aware as well of your own preservation and your own empathy, because you need to be kind to yourself as well. I also am a huge proponent for seeking medical attention, medical advice, professional support, whether that's through therapy, counseling, other avenues that can be really beneficial. Professional guidance is going to provide you with more in-depth tools, insights, and perhaps even strategies to navigate whatever is happening in your fucking life right now. And bringing it back to relationships, it can really navigate complex relationship dynamics. It can heal past wounds and even cultivate healthier patterns, and gives you that roadmap on how you both can move forward. And I think lastly, and more importantly, practicing empathy and forgiveness towards oneself and each other, I think is paramount. Recognizing that every fucking body carries their own scars and struggles. If you think about it that way, take romantic relationship out of the equation. If you really take a step back and look at it holistically and understand that every fucking one that you will encounter on your day-to-day, whether it's at work, at home, outside of society, out in society, out in your community, in your church, wherever the fuck you guys go, everyone carries trauma, everyone carries a scar, and everyone is carrying a struggle, whether they're currently going through it now or whether they did before. When you think about it, you're going to foster more compassion and more empathy within these relationships and in your daily encounters. It's a journey of facing the shadows and healing from trauma with empathy, with courage, and breaking free from those destructive cycles to rebuild trust and respect. And if no one's told you today, whatever you're carrying, whatever you're harboring, you're not alone. And you are brave. And you're carrying tremendous courage to be able to get up every morning and face that day and look out and wake up the next day and do it over again. So you keep doing that. And most of all, and this one, if you feel after all of this and after you've done your introspection, if you truly feel that you're in a relationship that it's not about disrespect, but rather abuse, seek help. You're not alone. There are hotlines, there are websites, there are apps that are anonymous, and you can go. So I think I'm going to ask the $1 million question. And I think this is the question everybody asks themselves. If you're in that type of relationship where it's become dysfunctional, it's hit that high, can a relationship survive after all the disrespect? Honestly, that's a subjective thing. And that's completely up to you. Remember, forgiveness is key, but true forgiveness, and sometimes that means learning the lesson. It either means moving up or moving on. But understand that is solely And that choice and decision is solely up to you. Solely up to you. So if you ever find yourself in that crossroads or have found yourself in that crossroads, always be kind to yourself. Always remember to forgive yourself as well. We're all human. We are all living this life. All of our paths are individual. The choice is yours. You are in control. I hope that these tips can help you course correct your own romantic relationships, or at least help you kind of navigate a little bit. The impact, of navigating through these areas of tumultuousness within relationships, it can be really profound, and it opens the door for, if done correctly, and this can lead to a deeper emotional connection, healing past wounds, and forging stronger and more resilient partnerships. And that's really the end goal for all of us, isn't it? And by shining light at those shadows and addressing those traumas with courage, compassion, and bravery, and breaking free from those harmful and hurtful cycles, couples can create a foundation of love and respect that can withstand any shitstorm or any fuckery that you bring it to. So I want to recap. In relationships, shadows represent the hidden, darker aspects of ourselves. And sometimes we don't want to confront them head on. But if we don't confront them, they are going to manifest in different ways, especially when we're triggered. 2, unhealed traumas can lead to triggers. There you go. Emotional scars and challenges that make it difficult to trust and let alone feel safe within relationships. When individuals carry unhealed pain, whether that's through past heartbreak, personal struggle, childhood, it will spill over into the current relationship if not healed. More importantly, effective communication plays a pivotal role in addressing those issues. And most of all, if you feel that perhaps you are in an abusive relationship, seek help. You're not alone. There are phone numbers. There are places you can go to. They're anonymous and will keep you safe. And always remember, you are in control. And you must set the example on how you want to be treated. And don't ever settle for less. This journey we're all on is not about being selfish, but it's about being self-aware and practicing self-love and mutual love, right? Because we're talking about relationships. Because guess what? If no one's told you today, let me be the first to tell you. You are fucking enough. You fucking matter. And you are fucking worth it. That's it for today's episode of the Fucked Up Guides Fucked Up Podcast. Join us on the next episode when we attack the final topic of respect. Man, and this one has misconceptions, biases, and fucking bullshit. And that stereotype about respect. Fuck. Oh man, these topics are getting really intense. I gotta do something lighter. Folks, hit me up on TikTok, hit me up on Instagram at the Fucked Up Guide. What do you want to hear? Because we can go down this rabbit hole, or I can do whatever you guys want me to do. But in the meantime, we're going to continue doing this with humor, honesty, a sprinkle of fucks, and a shit ton of metaphors. And if you enjoyed the content, follow us on TikTok and Instagram at the Fucked Up Guide. Or follow us and listen to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Patreon, iHeartRadio. Take your fucking pick. I'm on all of them. Pandora, Audible. And with that, take care of yourselves. Give yourselves a big ass hug. Give the people that you love a big ass hug. And keep rocking like the fucking kings and queens that you are. Because at the end of the day, you matter. Thanks for sticking around.